Hello. At the beginning of this year I posted a video with a timeline that showed you how to get two vegetable crops from the same bucket of soil in the same growing year. I might even have claimed it was crop rotation in a pot. About 6 weeks ago I harvested some early potatoes and did a quick turnaround planting some leeks. If you watch the first half of this video you will see that. Then come back to me and I will further illustrate a point I made in that video. We will also be taking a leek from this bucket. Hello, you may have just seen me harvest these potatoes from a 10-inch water bucket. This is Annabelle. There's about £1.25 pounds there. These are some of the first potatoes I've taken this year here in the UK, and we're in our last spring month, so we've got 3 summer months ahead of us. So what's to be done with this soil? What's to be done with this? What's to be done with the bucket that these came out of? Well, what are we going to do with it? I'll show you what we're going to do with it. Hang about. Let me just tidy this barrow up. These are the 2 buckets that the potatoes came out of. Okay. We'll pop that down there for the time being, and I'll pick it up as soon as we finish this shoot. Okay. So they're our 2 10-inch water buckets. This soil has just grown those potatoes. It's spent all winter. On a rack as part of my winter composting. It's produced us this one crop, and now what we're going to do is we're going to reinvigorate it and produce a second crop in this very same soil. So it's recycled soil. And the second crop that we're going to grow some leeks. Now that has got to be crop rotation, surely. Crop rotation in a pot, crop rotation in a bucket, potatoes followed by leeks. If you did that in a raised bed or in a piece of ground, you would call that crop rotation. This is crop rotation in a bucket, in a pot. Okay, now because the potatoes have taken some spark out of this, we need to put some spark back. So I've got 3 ingredients here. I keep finding small potatoes. I'll have to go through this a bit more carefully before I put this these buckets together. What we've got here is, this is recycled green waste. Okay. Recycled green waste. This is commercially available farmyard manure, came in a bag. Okay. And we've got some bloodfish and bone in here. No specific quantities here, we're just going to add it, mix it, fill the buckets and plant some leeks. Okay. So let's not hang about. Oh, and by the way, farmyard manure, no smell, trust me. There's definitely no smell. Pop that in there. We'll pop that in there. And we'll spread this bloodfish and bone in there. Once Molly gets a whiff of this, she'll want to get her head in this batter. I know that from experience. In fact, if I put that down behind me, I'm not too sure if she's being shot, but Molly will have her head in that. Right. We'll pop these gloves on and we'll give this a mix, and we'll check for any small potatoes that we might have missed first time around. Molly can smell the blood, fish and bone, she's just not too sure where the smell's coming from. Okay, I'm calling that mixed. What about you? Molly, are you calling that mixed? It's going in these buckets. One bucket. Now, bearing in mind I've just emptied 2 of these out, there's got to be enough to fill 2, hasn't there? There's got to be. Oi, come out of there. Molly's licking the top of that compost because she knows there's blood, fish and bone in there. Right, that's our 2 pots. Hold on, I'll have to put this in here to stop Molly licking the surface. Right, where's our leeks? Let's have a look. Hold on, Mol. These are our leeks. If you remember early in the year when I sowed these potatoes, I did say that you should sow some leeks. I also advised you that you could probably sow celery as well. And that would be using leeks after potatoes or celery after potatoes. I've got an admission, the celery died. I had celery, but I let it go dry. My fault completely, no excuse for it. So we won't be growing celery this year unless we go to the garden centre and buy some plants. Right, so we're going to sow 4 leeks in each pot. I'll only do 1 on camera, but I'm going to do 2 pots. Okay, let's see if we can break these guys out. Right. Now don't worry too much about breaking roots off leeks, because I have seen gardeners actually trim the roots as they plant the leek. So if we lose a few roots, we're not too bothered. How many have we got there? 1, 2, 3. There's a couple of good ones. Oh, 1 dropped in the barrow. Yeah, we've got to have 8 leeks there, surely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more. 7, 8. These guys will go back in here, and I will add soil to this. I'll make sure I don't lose these leeks, and I will use these leeks. These leeks will get planted, but not today, and not in these buckets. Okay, I'll take 1 bucket out of the barrow because it'll make it easier, and we'll just leave 4 leeks here. That's our 4 leeks. Okay, just leave them alone, Molly. Right, we're going to try and equally space these. Now, and the other thing is, I've got to tell you this now, this pot, when I take these leeks, will be full from top to bottom with roots. leeks have a fairly big root system. I'm going to put 4 leeks in this small 10-inch bucket, so I want to leave as much room in that pot for the roots to develop as possible. So that means planting these leeks really shallow. Now when you plant them shallow like so, there's every danger they'll fall over like that, or the wind will take them over, because they're not in the pot very far. But we have a plan. Okay, just drop that in there. Now that leek is in there no more than 1 inch, no more. Okay, and this one the same. Now they're standing up now because there's no wind, and I've just firmed them in. But leave them like this, and probably by tomorrow morning they'll be lying horizontally, because there's nothing to support them. And as I've already said, I haven't planted them very deep in this pot, because I want all of this soil for root development. Okay, how good's that? How good's that? That's 4 leeks planted now then. There's a cunning plan. If I can find my bits and pieces. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do first. We'll water these guys in. That's always a good start, isn't it? Give them a drink. Now these leeks will grow through the summer months, through into autumn and through into winter, and that's when we'll harvest them. You've seen these before. Pop bottles, top and bottom cut off, top and tailed, just stapled together. This is a wind break for these leeks, but it's also a support. It'll keep these leeks upright until they can keep themselves upright. Okay, just need to be careful that we get them all in. Hey, come on, how good's that? There you go, 4 leeks. Now, and so that the pop bottles don't blow over, because there's every danger that could happen, rocket sticks. 1, 2, simples, simples. We'll do the other pot exactly the same as this, and then we're up and running. Crop rotation in a pot, potatoes, then leeks. How good is that? If you've emptied potatoes out, or if you're going to empty potatoes out now, and there's summer months left, wherever you're gardening, then you should really fill that bucket again, shouldn't you? Reinvigorate the soil, put something in it. If you haven't got anything, go to the garden centre and buy something that you can pot up. Keep the interest going through the gardening year. Okay. Molly's, there'll be no bloodfish and bone in that other pot. Molly's gone right round it, licking it. Okay, so this is, I hope you've enjoyed this video, by the way, and if you have, a thumbs up would be nice. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out. Molly, there'll be no bloodfish and bone left in that pot. There will not. Right, we'll just knock this camera off and plant these 4 up and call it a day. To help me get these leeks out of this bucket, I've actually sat the soil ball in this shopping bag. That isn't a normal feature of this way of growing leeks. It's just something I put in earlier today to enable me to lift this soil ball out that much easier. and I've also tied up the leaves, and that isn't something that's needed when you're growing leeks in pots. I've only done that to help me get these pop bottles off. These are the pop bottles that have helped support these leeks when they were younger, until they got a root system down and were able to stand unsupported. Okay, so let's see if we can lift this soil ball out in a wanna. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust the camera, getting closer on these leeks. We're going to expose the soil ball. We'll look at the root structure in that soil ball, and we're going to take one of these leeks. And the leek I've chosen to take is one that's actually bolted, so we wouldn't normally be taking leeks as small as this. But because space is of a premium in these pots, we're going to remove the leek that's gone to seed and leave more space for the 3 remaining leeks to develop their root systems and grow bigger. Just before I remove that leek from the soil ball, I just want to show you something that will better illustrate, I hope, a point that I made earlier about how to plant leeks in buckets as opposed to planting leeks in the ground. Okay, now if you're planting leeks in the ground, you'll probably use something like this, a dibber, and you'll make holes in the ground and you'll simply drop your leek in that hole and water it in, and that hole might be 5 inches deep. Does that sound reasonable? Dibber a hole 5 inches deep, pop your leek in it. Well, let me show you why we don't do that when we use these 10-inch water buckets. Okay, I put this scale on the front, 1 inch to 10 inch, because this water bucket is 10 inches by 10 inches. Okay, now then, imagine we put that leek in this pot and we put it in 5 inches deep. Okay, that would be the depth of the leek in that pot, and I think, as you can see, the base of the leek is halfway down the pot, there or thereabouts, isn't it? So the roots from this leek would grow down into that soil below the base of the leek. All this soil would not see a root. It just wouldn't, because roots grow that way. They don't grow that way. So if we plant a leek in this pot, the same way we would plant one in a raised bed and put it in, say, 5 inches, most of this soil will not be available to those roots. Half of the soil will be out of the game. But what if we planted just 1 inch down? Well, it's an all different ball game now, isn't it? If we planted just 1 inch down, it's an all different ball game. We've actually got most of the soil in that pot now available for roots. Most of the soil in that bucket is now available to the roots. So that's why we plant our leeks shallow when we plant them in buckets, and that's why we use pop bottles to support them, because they're only sitting in the soil about 1 inch, and when they develop big leaves and the wind blows, wants to blow them over, so we need to support them. Okay, I hope that better explains a point I made earlier. Right, let's take this leek out of this soil ball. Okay, let's just have a look at this soil ball first, and we should be able to do it by rolling this shopping bag off the soil ball and hopefully not lose too much soil. We'll lose a little, but we won't lose a lot, I hope. Now I hope you can see from this. In fact, I'll come down your side of the camera and check that you can, and I'll probably zoom the camera in on this. Okay, I hope you can see from this that the roots are starting here, just below the base of the leek, and going the full distance, the full 10 inches, 8, 9 inches, 10 inches to the bottom of this pot. Had that leek been sown 5 inches down, that's where the bottom of the leek would have been, there. And so all those roots would not be there where they are now. They would have been all crammed into the less than the bottom half of this soil ball. So that's why we've planted them shallow. Now then, if we've only planted these leeks no more than 1 inch deep, that should make it easy to get one out of this pot. Now what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take these pop bottles off, and then we're going to take a leek. Okay, I'm going to need to turn this root ball round because the leek that has actually gone to seed is on my side of the root ball. So hopefully this root ball will stay intact, and I will show you the seed head on this leek. But what's important, what I'm really wanting to show you, is how shallow these leeks have been planted. Okay, we said we would put it in about 1 inch, so the bottom of that leek has got to be about there. Would you agree? The bottom of that leek has got to be about there. Okay, we'll just take some soil away and see if we can expose the bottom of that leek. There we go. There's the bottom of the leek, only just and so below the surface of the soil. Right, let's see if we can take this leek without disturbing the other leeks and without breaking this soil ball. Okay, so we should be able to, in theory, just cut underneath that leek to break the roots, and it should just come out, should it not? We do something like this. Come on, how good is that? How good is that? There is no disturbance to the other 3 leeks. I'll just show you the seed head. There's the seed head, and that's the reason we're taking this leek today. But the reason for this video really is to show you how well the leeks have come on since we potted them up when we harvested the early potatoes, and how easy it is to actually take a leek from one of these buckets. And as one of my subscribers has already pointed out to me, 4 leeks in a bucket, it'll never hold water. Okay, and on that note I'll leave you. So this is Homegrown Veg signing out.